Today I would like to talk to you about the great game of golf and how you can score better and have more fun. Or perhaps how you can have more fun and score better. Hello. Today I would like to talk with you about the great game of golf and how you can have more fun and score better. A number of years ago I was on vacation in Door County, Wisconsin. Door County is that little finger that juts out into Lake Michigan. And I was near the town of Bailey's Harbor, Wisconsin, playing a course known as Max Welton Braes. It's an absolutely beautiful course. It's a flat course, so it's easy to walk. It's very reasonably priced, and it's very easy to get a tee time on. And I was on the 17th tee, looking out at the green, which is a bit below your feet. There's a large sand trap on the right side, large sand trap on the left side, and another large sand trap right in front of the green. The pin was about 120 yards from the tee, which for me is an absolutely perfect 8-iron. I took my 8-iron, I made a good swing, and I hit a beautiful shot. I caught the ball flush on the club face, and I watched it take this beautiful trajectory toward the green, but unfortunately, it was a little bit too far to the left of the green, and it caught the berm and went into the trap on the left side of the green. I went up to the trap, I took out my sand wedge, I made a reasonably good swing, but I caught the too much sand. The ball went up and hit the berm, bounced back into the trap. So I stood back, composed myself, took another swing. This time I bladed it. It sailed over the green and into the trap on the right side. Then I went over there, and doggone if I didn't do the exact same thing. I bladed it again, and it went back over the green into the trap on the left side. Finally, I got the ball on the green with my fifth shot. Then I three-putted for an 8 on a par 3. And I think it was about at that point that I thought to myself, you know, there is something drastically wrong with USGA rules. USGA rules are great for the scratch golfer, but only about 1% of all golfers are scratch golfers. That leaves the vast majority of golfers playing by rules that just don't make sense and that require them to play shots that are really beyond their capacity to play. I began thinking, what was it about golf that I really enjoyed, and what was it about golf that I found absolutely miserable? Well, I certainly enjoyed it when I made a good swing and I caught the ball squarely on that sweet spot and then was able to watch it take a beautiful trajectory out in the general direction that I wanted the ball to go. And that is much more likely to happen when you're standing with a relatively flat lie and from the fairway. Another thing that I really enjoyed was if I was standing looking at the green and I had a short iron in my hand and I was able to hit the ball into the green in regulation with a relatively short iron. Another thing, of course, that I enjoyed was making good putts. It's so neat when you can stand 15 feet from the cup, make a relatively good putt, and get it either in the cup or close to the cup. So these were some of the things that I really enjoyed about golf. Some of the things that I just didn't like at all: number one, playing out of the sand or playing out of deep rough. Number two was playing from behind a tree or having your backswing blocked by being by a tree. Another thing that just drove me crazy was to hit a relatively good drive and then watch that drive trickle out of bounds or trickle into deep rough where you can't find it, and then be forced to play my third shot from the teeing area again. Another thing that I absolutely hated was to miss those short 3-4 foot putts that the scratch player makes so easily and so routinely, but which were a challenge to me. These were some of the things that I just didn't like about golf. Fun, misery, fun, misery. Which do you want? You're out on the golf course for 4 hours, and I got to thinking to myself, you know, I would rather hit more of these good shots. I would rather have more good experiences. And as much as possible, I would like to limit the likelihood that I was going to have a bad shot or have a bad experience. So over time, I evolved a series of 5 rules, and let me preview those rules for you. Fun golf rule number 1, tee it forward. Fun golf rule number 2, play from the fairway. Fun golf rule number 3, take gimmies. Fun golf rule number 4, throw a test ball on the green. And fun golf rule number 5, use an expensive ball around the green. I began playing by those rules a number of years ago, and I found that instead of shooting around 95, which is what I would do if I played by USGA rules, I was shooting around 75. And I had a score a couple years ago of 67 on this Max Welton Braze course, and I'll tell you, that is a lot more fun than shooting a 95. I will guarantee you that if you will play by Fun Golf rules, you will have a lot more fun and you will score a lot better. Now, let me discuss each of the 5 Fun Golf rules for you in greater depth. Fun Golf rule number 1, tee it forward. Move your tee shot forward so that you can hit no more than a 6-iron to the green in regulation, given your average shots. Now let's take an example. Let's say that you come to a par 3 hole that's 180 yards to the middle of the green. And let's say, for the sake of our example, that normally you're able to hit your 6-iron on average about 140 yards. Now we're not looking at your best 6-iron, we're looking at your average 6-iron. On 180 yard par 3, you would then move up 40 yards so that you're teeing off 140 yards from the center of the green and you're able to use your 6-iron. Now let's look at a par 4 hole. Let's say that your drives normally go about 190 yards and that your 6-iron goes 140 yards. That means you would never tee off more than 330 yards from the center of the green on any par 4 hole. You should move up to either a more forward tee or into the fairway if you have to. If you normally use your 3-wood, as a lot of people do, rather than your driver, and instead of hitting the ball 190 yards, you normally hit the ball 170 yards, you would put that together with your 6-iron shot of 140 yards, and you would never play a par 4 hole more than 310 yards from the center of the green. Finally, let's go to a par 5 hole. Again, this time let's take your driver and say you hit that 190 yards, that you take your 3-wood and play your second shot out of the fairway and hit that 170 yards, and finally your 6-iron and hit that 140 yards. You put those all together and you will never tee off more than 500 yards from the center of the green on any par 5 hole. Just always move up. Now, I have given you specific numbers there, but those are all examples. You've got to take what your average 6-iron is, what your average 3-wood is, and what your average driver is, or what your average drive is if you use your 3-wood off of the tee, and plug those into the equation. And that will help you to determine exactly how far you should be playing each of these holes. This then is Fun Golf rule number 1, tee it forward. Fun Golf rule number 2, play from the fairway. Without penalty, you may move the ball up to 10 yards, but no more than 1 yard onto the green. Start from where the ball lies, or the nearest point in your fairway, or any edge of a sand trap in which the ball lies. If you do not know where the ball lies, including out of bounds, make an honest guess. Now let's look at several examples of how you can use Fun golf rule number 2, play from the fairway. If you had teed off and gone over the out of bounds and come to rest here, we would not be interested in any way as to where that ball first crossed the out of bounds line. The only point we're interested in is where it actually came to rest. If you don't know exactly where it came to rest, make an honest guess and then move from there to the nearest point in the fairway without penalty. You then can take up to 10 yards in any direction. This should enable you to get yourself to a fairly flat lie. You should be able to avoid uphill lies, downhill lies, side hill lies, and if a tree had blocked your shot, either blocked your backswing or blocked the line of flight of the ball into the green, those 10 yards will let you get away from that and get yourself to a pretty good lie. When I say you can take up to 10 yards in any direction, as a practical matter, you will be taking up to 10 paces. Use your pace to be equal to 1 yard. If you had teed off and gone out over the water and come to rest somewhere in here, we're not interested in any way as to where your ball first crossed the water hazard line. The only thing we're interested in is where the ball lies, and if you don't know where the ball lies, make an honest guess. Move from there to the nearest point in the fairway without penalty. Then you can move 10 yards in any direction. If there had been water right here in front of the tee, so that there was no fairway to the left of the water or to the right of the water, and your ball had gone in here, you can then go forward to the nearest point in the fairway and from there take your 10 yards in any direction without penalty. If we had water right next to the green and your ball came to rest somewhere in here, you can once again make an honest guess as to where that ball is and then take up to 10 yards but no more than 1 yard onto the green. If your ball had gone further than 10 yards away from the green, you could then go to the nearest point in the fairway and once again take up to 10 yards but no more than 1 yard onto the green. If your ball had gone into the sand, you can always go back to the fairway, take your 10 yards but no more than 1 yard onto the green without penalty, or you can go from any edge of the sand trap. And let's say for the sake of our example that the pin is over here, you could then go from this edge, go 10 yards but not more than 1 yard onto the green, and then make your putt. This should give you an opportunity to get fairly close to a pin that's over here. If your ball had landed here in the rough, you could once again take 10 yards in any direction, which would let you get closer to a pin over here or closer to a pin over here. If your ball had ended up just on the edge of the green, you can no longer take up to 10 yards in any direction, but you can move 1 yard away from the edge of the green. Now let's look at an example where you tee off and you come to rest at 137 yards from the pin. And let's, for the sake of our example, say that you are very good with your 7-iron and you're confident you can hit it 130 yards. You can then move up 7 yards, giving you a perfect 130-yard 7-iron into the pin. And if you had gone down here somewhere in the deep rough, you could come all the way back to the fairway without penalty, take your 10 yards in any direction, so that if you got here and you found that you were 124 yards from the pin, you could then back up 6 yards, once again giving you a perfect 130-yard 7-iron into the pin. These then are some of the options that you will have when you play by Fun Golf Rule number 2, play from the fairway. Fun Golf Rule number 3, take gimmies. If any part of the ball is within 9 inches of the cup edge, treat as hold. Within 33 inches, treat as hold on the next putt. Gimmies can really make the game of golf a lot more fun. Think of the times that you've made a relatively good putt and you come to within 2 or 3 feet of the cup and then miss that little short putt, and sometimes miss the little short putt coming back. Or sometimes you're standing 6 or 8 feet from the cup, you make a very good putt, you come to rest just on the edge of the cup, and at that point you'd like to kick somebody or kick yourself. In Fun Golf Rules, there are 2 levels of gimme. One is 9 inches from the cup, and you can make that determination by going 9 inches from your putter head, and on the shaft, using fingernail polish, make a thick mark. Then if your ball comes to rest anywhere so that it touches that mark or is inside of it, that is then considered hold. So for example, on a par 3 hole, if you tee off and your ball comes to rest just at that point or anywhere inside of it, that's a hole in one. The second level of gimme in Fun Golf Rules is 33 inches. So again, you go 33 inches from the putter head, go out on your shaft, make a thick mark with fingernail polish, and if your ball comes to rest anywhere so that it just barely touches that line or is anywhere inside of that, all the way down to that 9-inch mark, that is then considered hold on the next putt. So using our par 3 example, if you tee off and you come to rest so that you're right here or anywhere inside of that on down to that 9-inch mark, that would then be a 2 on a par 3 hole. This then is Fun Golf Rule number 3, take gimmies. The next Fun Golf Rule is throw a test ball. You may throw a test ball on the green prior to chips or putts to test slope and speed. The pros have a tremendous advantage when it comes to putting. Number one, they've got a caddy. They've got 2 sets of eyes. They can look the thing over and talk it over and get a pretty good idea as to which way the ball is going to break. Number 2, they have greens maps that show the little undulations and little moves the ball will make on the green, the subtle slopes in the green. Number 3, they have practice days prior to game days. They know where the pin placements are going to be, so they can go to those points in the green, take as many balls as they want, do a lot of putting, again to see just how much it'll break, and also to test the speed of the greens. You don't have that advantage. By using rule number 4 and throwing a test ball on the green, you get immediate feedback just before you make your putt as to how much the ball is going to break, whether the greens are fast or slow, and you can see immediately. You get immediate feedback. Fun Golf Rule number 5, the final Fun Golf Rule, is change the ball. You may change the ball anytime, so you can use a cheap ball on the tee and an expensive one around the green. Today, if you go to buy a sleeve of Titleist Pro V1s or any other top-of-the-line golf ball, you're probably going to pay $4 or $5 a ball. It's very difficult as an amateur to go to the first tee knowing that you might be slicing that ball either out of bounds into deep rough where you can't find it and lose that $4 or $5 on your first shot. And the same thing happens throughout the round. You could easily spend $30, $40 in a round just for golf balls. So most amateurs want to use a relatively inexpensive ball off of the tee. The rules of golf then say you should play that all the way through putting out. In Fun Golf Rules, you can change the ball at any time. You can change the ball if it's got mud on it. You can change the ball if you want to use a good ball around the green. And what I suggest you do is play the less expensive ball off of the tee. Then when you're around the green and you're about to make a chip or a putt, put down a good Pro V1, pick up your cheap ball, use that cheap ball as your test ball, throw it on the green to give yourself an idea as to the slope and speed, and then make your chip or make your putt. These then are the 5 fun golf rules. Number 1, tee it forward. Number 2, play from the fairway. Number 3, take gimmies. Number 4, throw a test ball. And number 5, change the ball. Now let's go back to that 17th tee at Max Welton Braes. I take my 8-iron, once again make a good swing and watch the ball sail up towards the green but a little too far to the left. The ball gets knocked into the trap. I walk up to the trap and using Fun Golf rule number 2, I go in and pick the ball up, walk to the edge of the sand trap and start taking 10 paces toward the green. Before I have taken all 10 paces, I am 1 yard onto the green. I then reach into my pocket, take out my Titleist Pro V1 ball, and set it on the green. I take the cheap ball that I had teed off with and throw it towards the cup. I watch the ball kind of wrap around. I get a really good idea as to the slope and speed of the green. Then I step back and I make my putt. The ball comes to rest within 9 inches of the cup, giving me a 2 on this par 3 hole, which is a lot better than the 8 that I had on it the first time around. If you would like a printed version of Fun Golf Rules, please go to www.fungolfrules.com. I hope that you will share this video with all of your friends and that the next time you go to the course you will have more fun and score better. Hello. Today I would like to talk to you about the great game of golf and how you can score better and have more fun. Or perhaps how you can have more fun and score better.